What's up, everyone? How's everybody doing today? I am joined today by a huge, biggest panel we've had, I believe, 8 people, I believe is the most we've ever had on AR tutorial. Today we're going to be talking with Tuula the Cat, who is kind enough to totally come out of her shell and be a very gracious teacher and show us all how to implement natural shadows using PicsArt. So everyone just be real nice to her and, send her lots of nice messages after this. As far as the rest of us, we got 2 new faces and a couple familiar faces. I'll start to my left. We got Steve, Pokemon LDN AR. To my right, first new person, Rhanique. How you doing today?
I am fine.
Next, we have ShinyShinx from Spain. Down from left to right, we have Tuula, and then Ketzchup, another newcomer, Silverwing 2121. And last and always least, quite literally today, Halo. How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Good.
Very good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Is everyone ready to learn some shadow implementation? Everyone has their pictures pulled up. I think good starting place for this one, Tuula, would be to kind of describe what a good picture would be to use this on.
Yeah. Okay. So basically I want to show you how to add Pokemon shaped shadows if you have a picture with a lot of sun or light coming from left, right, front or behind you, so that it looks a lot more natural. And yeah, I will share my screen now so you get the idea. This is the photo I'm working on today. I opened PicsArt and opened this photo. So you see you have this shadow from my boyfriend coming from this lantern above. This basically works the same way if you have a photo with a lot of sun. You always have these long shadows, and in Pokemon GO you just can't add these. It's always just this little small shadow right underneath the Pokemon. So I'm trying to show you how to add more realistic ones. So the first thing we will do, we go to the option Add Picture. For me it's called Foto hinzufügen. It's this mountain and the small plus sign here. And then I just pick the same photo that I'm already using. And then there's this cool feature in PicsArt where you can just erase everything. You click on this, I think it's called rubber or something in English. And you just remove the parts you don't need. So you actually only need the Pokemon still visible. So you remove everything else. That it's just the Pokemon. You can also click on this and make it a little bit bigger so you have more. Yeah, now they have crashed. That's not good. But you get the idea. It takes some time. Just remove everything, but not the Pokemon.
Where's the erase tool?
Yeah.
I've already lost.
I don't see it either.
Yeah.
It's in the top middle.
It's on the top here.
Oh, I'm looking at the bottom.
It's this rubber on the top.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then just maybe it works this time. Doesn't crash. Yeah, it never happened before. And it doesn't have to be really detailed. It's really just the basic shape, because as you can see, the shadows of my boyfriend aren't really well structured as well. You don't see all the features of his face and of his head. It's just really the basic shape. And when you think you have the most important parts cut it out, you can just confirm the changes and you can still move it around and see I missed some parts. Then I can remove these as well. And as you see, I really just made a really rough removal of the other parts. Are you still with me or is it too fast?
I'm erasing.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
Mhm.
Almost done.
Okay.
Definitely not looking at the top for the eraser tool.
Yeah, it's
All right. I am good. I now have a cutout
yep.
and for
I will wait until you guys are mostly done with it. It's always a bit difficult if you have a Pokemon with more detailed features, or like, for example, Glameow with this really detailed tail. It takes a little bit longer, so I know
I'm on Taro.
this might take some time.
So it doesn't need to be perfect, you said?
No, as you can see, I'm still having these features here. This black lines. It's really just so you have the general overview, the basic shape.
general overview.
So just make sure you're not missing some parts of the body that are essential, and besides that, you're fine.
Okay, I'm ready.
Same.
Good.
Okay. So the next thing is on the bottom. You have this different tools, and you click on adjust. In English, for me, it's called anpassen. And there you can just go down with the brightness and contrast if needed. Then confirm only once. And then you can see again if there are some parts of the other image you missed, and you can remove it, but it's not always necessary. I'm just a little perfectionist. And you already see it's a little darker, and you can then do it again and make it again a little bit or more dark if needed. It always depends on the shadow you have in your pick. Then you should have this black silhouette that looks strange.
I have this like weird bright pink line on my.
Yeah, then just repeat the step with the brightness and contrast a few times.
Okay.
If there are really bright features in a Pokemon, you can still see in this shadow thing that I still see the mouth of Dino, for example.
Mm-hmm.
But if I repeat it a few more times, at some point it will just be a black spot. So now it's already no
I got
longer
it.
recognizable as a mouth.
There we go. I just
And
moved
as
the
you,
saturation down, and then
yeah,
did the darker.
that might help as well. Yeah.
Nega Ampharis.
Wow.
yeah, you can then also move it around in your picture and just hold it next to the shadow you want to adjust it to, so you get a feeling if this is already a good start or if you need to make it a little bit more. Okay, you're fine? We're still working.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm also good.
So the next thing is, you know, the shadow won't just be like this. So you will have to move it. You can do this by just using 2 fingers or use this arrow on the top right of this, of the selected area, so you can move it around all the way how you want it. And that's why it's always easier if you already have a shadow of something else in the photo. So you get a feeling how big, how long the shadow should be. Because now Dino would be huge compared to my boyfriend, for example. So we will have to make this a little bit more small. And also think about what parts might be visible. Like in the shadow, you might not see the legs themselves, but that the real shadow would start a little bit above them. Yeah, that's the most difficult part, to get a placement that works, so you can now again reshape the shadow. Does anyone need help with this, or any questions?
No comment though. Like mine, I have a very specific shape. I have like an arm on my Pokemon, so like if you just rotate around, the arm's on the wrong side, but there is a rotate flip button. So
yeah, you can also mirror the image.
Yeah, it's that.
How do I distort it?
Like what?
How do I distortion it? Because it's like very straight, you know?
I'm not sure what you mean.
Like if I just lay it down on the ground, the legs don't look right. So how do I like elongate it or something, you know, like pull it back?
Yeah, that's because we will now have to again draw in the actual shadow. Okay. So you basically move it to the place where you think it would be, like I did.
Okay.
It's not. I played with the length and how broad it would be. And then I just try to find something that might work. And then we go again to the erase tool on the top. And can then really work on the stuff that's not working. We can make the brush a little smaller, and because that doesn't make sense that there's a shadow on his leg, for example. You can remove these parts.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So I have photos of me and Central, But
Mhm.
my own shadow is not as dark as the one of Central now. So my shadow is still a bit like grayish. How
Mhm.
can I get the shadow of the Central?
That's the last step we will do.
Oh, okay.
That's the opacity and color adjustment in the end. For now, we are working on the shape.
Okay, thank you.
So you need a little bit of patience to think what parts of the shadow look odd, because you basically just use the regular shape of the Pokemon, so you don't miss any details, but then you still need to draw. Like when you look at my work, it looks like, what the heck is that? Some weird thing I draw. It's not a dino. That's some weird stuff.
Who is that Pokemon?
Exactly. A really weird edition of who's that Pokemon. And that's the really difficult part, why I said it can get difficult quite easy, because you always need to realign some stuff so it doesn't look like some really strange alien creature shadow.
The problem of my photo is that my Pokemon is too close to the camera, so I don't have enough space to put a shadow on it.
The shadow should be on the right side of the Pokemon, if I have the right picture in mind. So yeah, there should be space, but yeah, we can make a little. If you have any problems, we can make a round where you can just share the not finished results. So
yeah,
I can give feedback and advice if possible. So you might also have sometimes a picture where the shadow of the Pokemon is then overlaid over another shadow that's already in the original photo. I can a little bit describe it with this one. So on the left side, this long line, that's the arm and hand from a boyfriend. And if you see that the brightness and then contrast of the shadows is way too different, you can also, with this eraser tool, you can also just reduce the opacity and the sharpness below. So you can, for example, I'm just playing around now, just make it a little bit brighter where needed. Or if you see that this needs some correction, then you can also make some changes in between.
Well, you sure
Is
joking
this a part to get a shadow less dark?
Only for really detailed stuff.
Okay.
If you want to make the shadow less dark in general, when you confirm the changes where you can draw in this shadow, you have this overall opacity slider where you can just make it completely invisible and to the maximum, and there you can already play around with it a little bit. And then if you see sometimes the shadows in the photo is a little bit differently saturated, you can always go back to the adjust section. And if you go all the way to the right, there's this temperature. And there you can then change the temperature of your shadow. If you have a really sunny photo, you can make it a lot more warmer, the shadows, or a lot more cooler. And that helps a lot.
I think I did something wrong, so I cannot edit the shadow anymore.
Yeah, you confirmed one time too much. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
that's the really
I lost it.
annoying part about adding photos in PicsArt, but
so is it possible to go back, or you lost it completely?
I don't think you can go back into the editing itself.
Oh no, I only have one step and it's like completely gone.
Yeah.
I've done the same thing.
Me
too.
I've already restarted.
Me too.
Yeah, I restarted like at the middle.
No,
Okay.
I had so much done.
I'm happy I'm not the
Don't
only
ever
one.
hit the check mark unless you're sure you're just erasing.
So what you can also do, I think, so in this case, take it to Snapseed, and then with the select tool, you can just select the shadow and try it, so you don't have to start again.
If it's still in the right place, yeah, you can.
Yeah, it was for me, so I'm lucky.
I don't think I'm going to get perfection with this, so I'm just going to settle for something here. My shadow is really long, and like I just can't get like the feet to line up right without like somehow manipulating this shape, but I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, with some photos you really need to manipulate. You can see I did the same thing. What I first had, it's just a basic shape, and then you need to readjust it based on where the light's coming from. So the legs might be a little bit longer. It's not perfect, but it works pretty good if you get the hang of it. So because I'm always struggling with adding these kind of shadows in Snapseed, because you basically just reduce the brightness in some parts of the picture and then it's all blurry and no real structure.
Again. D. E.
All good, or does someone need some more advice or restart at some point? The explanation.
I think I'm done.
Okay.
I've got something.
Not me.
Oh, you can do that? Okay. So if you go into the eraser and you switch over to restore, you can just draw shadow wherever you want. Like if you have your basic shape but it doesn't quite go where you want it, you can just draw in a shadow with the restore thing. It's just going to draw the same thing that you've erased, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you can show it. Not sure
I can.
what you all are doing at the moment because we have
Here, let me share
some,
it fast because I feel
some
like
issues with
a lot.
PicsArt. Yeah, you can share.
Big, this just made my life easier. Hopefully make everyone's life easier. So, like, I'm just here on the regular erase tool, where obviously I can like erase part of my shadow, but that part right there wasn't even there before. So if you just hit restore, you can just you can draw shadow wherever you want. Like,
Yeah,
you can just force it to match. So I just forced this foot to be there.
yeah, exactly. That's what I meant with my
Well,
maybe bad explanation of drawing in your shadow. Remove parts, add parts when necessary.
yeah, I thought the restore would only restore like something that was already there, but I didn't know you could just
It's
willy-nilly.
not like the undo button on the top.
Yeah. So I'm happy with that.
It's more like a brush where you can just draw something.
Well, there, everyone can see mine, and then I won't share again later because there's so many of us. But I got an amp for a shadow now, kind of, in my super weird elongated. I guess I'll go erase that little bit of ear there.
Yeah, but it already looks quite good, so.
It looks better zoomed out.
I like it.
All right.
At least there's some kind of shadow after the editing. I mean, mine isn't perfect at all, so it's just some black blob.
I think the hardest part is to get the shadow the same color as the shadow in the photo already.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the hardest parts for me.
So yeah, you just need to play around a little bit with this thing I mentioned, with this adjust option. I finished my photos. I will just prepare a black square to show this again.
And
This is not a Pokemon, but you get the idea. So you can here on this slide play with the opacity so that it gets already a little bit brighter if your shadow isn't that dark.
Yeah.
Or if it needs to be darker. And in the adjust section, you can also make it, of course, again, a little bit brighter, or on all the way to the right side. You can play with the temperature, and then you get, as you can see, the shadow gets a lot more red, a lot more blue, warmer or cooler. That pretty much already helps. And then you have all these other options if you want some fancy colored shadows or whatever. And then again, for the details, if you have a shadow that overlaps with this other shadow and you only want to remove a little bit so it looks more natural, you can play with the erase tool and again play with the opacity, the range, and the sharpness of the brush so it looks really different depending on what kind of changes you select for the brush.
Also, if you haven't edited your base picture yet, there might not be a lot of point because you're gonna mess around with all those colors once you start messing with like post editing and like Snapseed or more in PicsArt or whatever you use.
Yeah, but But it's better to add this shadows before you change anything else in the photo, so it doesn't get more complicated because you then have a shadow added on top of the already edited photo with filters and stuff.
Wow, that doesn't look great. Undo that.
Anyone else who needs some help?
I'm good.
I have to restart it all over again because I lost my shadow. Indy. That's my dog.
Yeah, you're right. This isn't super easy.
I know. And I'm not a master myself, as you can see, but
It's another one of those you really got to put a lot of forethought into your picture that you know you're going to do this.
yeah.
Now I would have instantly taken used a different picture. After doing it once and seeing what you're constricted to. It's like going for that super, super sharp angled shadow probably wasn't the best idea. But that's what I've been doing all week. I woke up early and stayed up, or just made sure I was free at like towards dusk. So I was like, oh, look really cool with like really, really elongated shadows. And of course, it was like raining all week, so I never got the picture until this morning. But I was like, now I'm like, man, I wish I had just done it like 10, 11 o'clock, like shallow shadows, not super elongated.
That's why I have a picture taken at night.
Yeah, you cheated. You didn't tell us that. Where was that pro tip a week ago? Go out to the street.
That was my last minute idea to have a new photo for you.
Anyone got something close to presentable they'd like to share?
No.
Not at all.
I'd like to share.
Keep starting over again.
I've learned some stuff.
Yeah, sure. If someone is brave enough.
I got
share
something.
I think
No.
I got something. Can I?
Fastest fingers, whoever hits the share button first wins.
I think I won.
Well, it's not in English, so.
Yes, so this is my result. So I took it to Snapseed because I lost some progress. I'm not super happy with it. So I think because I lost my progress in PicsArt, I just wanted to make the shadow a little more flat because now it's just like almost the same size as the Central. So it could have been more like stretched out. I think I got the color pretty okay. You can see it's still not the same, like Central is, I don't know, too grayish? I'm not sure, but I think it's okay. What do you think, Tuula?
As long as, since you can't zoom in like that, hopefully, like that's fine. I wouldn't
like this.
You could maybe try to play with the temperature a little bit more because I think your shadow is a little bit more of a cool color, and the shadow from Central is a little bit too just black. But
what I tried to do with the select tool, I tried like this. I pinched in and then I tried something like this or this, go up, go down, to get it the best possible. But
Yeah,
I think it
in
takes some
Snapseed,
time.
you also have this brush tool, and there you can play with the temperature.
Oh yeah.
So the pencil thing, yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It can go up. Okay. Something. Yeah, I think. Yeah. I think it takes some time, but when you get it right, it will be. So yeah, it's worse, but.
Were you saying you wanted to elongate the shadow?
Sorry?
You're saying something about elongating it. You can kind of elongate and like squash in PicsArt if you actually touch on the little when it's in the box, you have to touch the actual node and it'll squash it and elongate it.
Yeah, that's what's missing.
I just wanted to be able to like angle it too, like what's it called in Snapseed? Perspective. When you mess with the perspective tool, you can kind of like lay it down. Maybe I don't know. Something to think about. What you got, Pele? Oh, Pele getting fancy.
Yeah, this is mine. I learned, it's not the best, but I think I wanted to share what I learned. So for me, if whoever's viewing this video already watched episode 1 that we made, I would like to use the clone tool to erase the original shadow of Tauros, so that I would have a clear non-shadow grass under it, and then I would add my shadow. However, I didn't know how to elongate it before Hex showed us how he could like restore a bunch more. So I would definitely do that. I would definitely exploit the being able to restore more, and I would just start to connect each and every little foot. But this picture was one that I really wanted to do, because since I took it, I was like, how can I make it look like my shadow? Because it's very obvious, like my shadow is very obviously there, right? So and I guess it's a nice start. You definitely have to be a pro like Tuula, because I've seen a lot of amazing shadows you've done, and I need to practice a lot. But this is a good first step of knowing the basics, and then I can start making adjustments, see how I can make it better for my own style.
Yeah, that already looks pretty good. You just would need to restore and remove some parts that are still not quite the shape of Tauros, but besides that, it already looks good to me for first try, and considering most of you lost part of your progress, so absolutely fine.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna.
Okay. Anyone else already
I can
ready
share,
to share?
Because I'm not going to do it again, and I just lost my progress again, so I can directly share.
Okay.
So let me do it. What?
Our new goal of our tutorials is to make everyone hate PicsArt.
Okay. So what really worked for me here was turning the temperature and the contrast down, because as you can see, the photo itself already has a really high temperature, like it's really warm colors. So when I placed the shadow on top of it, it was still saturated. It had the orange color, and I had to turn like the temperature all the way down at least 3 times for it to disappear. And still, it's not really matching the same, but I had really to take down the temperature first thing. And then if I were a pro, what I would have liked to have done would have been to, if you notice, the sand already has some shadow on one of the ways. Like half of the amount of the sand is on the sunny side and the other half is on the dark side. So I would have firstly erased the dark side on the places where the shadow is going to go. And then when I place it on top, it will not look like, if you zoom here, you can clearly see the difference between the shadow that I added and the one that was already there.
That's the part about the overlapping shadows where you will need to be really detailed and use a smaller brush in the erase tool and then make the necessary adjustments. So yeah.
And then in the last moment, I was just trying to elongate it and move it, and I accidentally pressed twice and I just lost it. And you can see here, it's not supposed to be there, but yeah, I'm not going to do it again. But I learned a lot.
Yeah.
So, here. Next.
Almost there.
I can share. So I've got Houndoom. And so, like Elena was saying, I just work with the contrast and the temperature to try and get it to match. But I found the person that I photographed here, the shadow has so many different shades. So I think you'd have to use like a brush tool or something to try and get some dark shades around some of the more covered areas. And obviously I'm missing the front. Is that left leg? Front left leg. So I'd have to go in and do maybe put another shadow in. I quite like that. Found it quite easy to elongate.
Yeah, that's one of the easier ones where the sun comes clearly from one side. As for the different parts of the shadow from the person, that's again the same as for the sand from Shinx, where you could either use it in PicsArt with the brush tool and play around, or just try to make it look darker and what else is needed in Snapseed. So you could do it in both for the details, but yeah, that looks already good aligned and looks good.
For a picture like that, Tuula, how do you normally handle like the Pokemon Go shadow that's directly under? Do you just take that into consideration when you take your pictures and just make it so you can't really see it in the original, or do you just hope that it gets absorbed by the others? Like that one, very clearly, and like Pelo's had two shadows.
Yeah.
It's
like you can take real low angle pictures of Pokemon, so like the Pokemon Go shadow is basically like not there. But is that something you just think about ahead of time, or you just clone out?
I actually just clone or reel it out or make it brighter. So maybe I can share this one photo that might be a good example of shadows that need to be removed. So this is the unedited photo from this Growlithe photo. And you see my shadow is in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And Growlithe's shadow is just, you see this part underneath the tail. It just doesn't make sense. So I really just removed this shadow and with brightness, healing, whatever, and try to make it as invisible as possible, and then added the other shadow in the front.
Gotcha. Yeah, Pelo said he was going to clone that out. It's just such a big shadow. Like I wouldn't even know how to approach trying to heal that out because there's just so much space.
Yeah, definitely something like the Photoshop Fix clone tool. I think that would be my go-to, but it's definitely a big shadow. I think this method works amazingly with night photos that Tuula made, because those night photos are those night shadows are very intense, very dark, and easy to work with, right? So I think that's the best for this method.
Mm-hmm.
All right, newbies. Who's gone? Who's gonna step up first?
I will show mine. Wait, I use a fly on my webcam. um, share.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the original, and then the new one is this. I know I have a lot of work to do, but I learned very much. What do you think, guys? What I should do?
So
Nice.
it's already a start, but I would say the shadow should be a little bit more rotated.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because you
And
see the legs do not really 100% follow the legs of the Pokemon.
so that the head part should be more on the left, rotated to the left a little bit, and yeah.
Yeah.
So the shadow in general gets a little bit longer and yeah.
Yeah, I was trying 3 times at a row because I lost my shadow.
Yeah.
The next time I will do.
But besides the rotation, it's good.
Okay, that's good.
Okay. Shall I share my picture now then?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the picture I started with, and well, here's my shadow. I had to start over. Well, I think 4 times because I kept clicking the edit away or remove the shadow, but yeah.
Looks really good, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Had to do the opacity a few times and then a little bit in the temperature. I still think I should have deleted some more shadow on right done, but quite satisfied.
Yeah, I think it looks really similar to the shadow of the building. So I think it's very good.
Yeah.
It looks nice.
Yeah, I tried to do that to keep it in line with the shadow of the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real unfortunate that we can't go back and redo like layer work in PicsArt.
Yeah.
Come on, PicsArt.
You have to do right one time.
That's the big issue. Yes, I know these problems. I messed this up myself.
That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to do it in the time span that we're given here. Obviously, all of the pictures would look better if we were to sit down and not worry about talking and sharing and just have as much time as we want to pick it up and put it back down. But with the time constraints we have, I think everyone put out something that showed that we at least grasped the concept that Tuula was trying to show us. So thank you, Tuula.
Yeah, thank you.
Everyone say thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Tuula.
You're welcome. I hope you're not too disappointed in the technique.
Very useful.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Let's see. Nope.
I can work with that.
Can you unshare real quick?
Sure.
Awesome. Well, that will I think wrap it up for us. I think we all, like I said, got a good grasp on the concept. I know I'm gonna go back and probably just restart from scratch and do it again, so I have the picture for when we post the video, which will be when it is. Hope everyone had a good time, learned some things, and for those watching at home, look for the next one, because seems to be something everyone enjoys, and we'll keep putting them out. So with that, if anyone has anything to say.
Thank you, Tuula, for the tutorial. I think it takes some training, but when you get it right, it's really, really nice to work with the shadows.
One of the more advanced tutorials we've had, I think.
Thank you, Silver and Rhanique, for joining us for the first time. As always, everyone's links and everything to Instagrams and whatnot will be down in the video description. So if you are not following everyone you currently see on your screen, please go check out everyone's accounts and see all the fine work all these people put so much time into. Now that you see how much really goes into some of this stuff, it's not as easy as point, click, and upload sometimes, right, guys?
Sometimes it is, sometimes not.
Sometimes it is. Sometimes you get that perfect shot, but a lot of times not. So,
True.
Right. With that, everyone have a good evening or day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.